Deep in the heart of Sumatra lies the Aceh Forest. It is a place of towering trees and tangled vines. The air is alive with the sounds of animals. Colorful birds flit through the branches. The Aceh Forest is a place of mystery and wonder. The forest is home to many creatures. Tigers stalk through the undergrowth. Monkeys swing through the canopy. But the most beloved creatures of all are the birds. They fill the forest with their beautiful songs. The birds of the Aceh Forest are a diverse group. There are tiny sunbirds with iridescent feathers. There are hornbills with massive beaks. And there are parrots of every color imaginable. But the most respected of all the birds is the Parakeet King. The Parakeet King is a magnificent bird. He has bright green feathers and a long flowing tail. He is a wise and compassionate ruler. He is loved by all the birds of the Aceh Forest. The Parakeet King rules over the birds with kindness and wisdom. He listens to their problems. He helps them to resolve their disputes. He teaches them to live in harmony with each other and with the forest. Under the Parakeet King's rule, the birds of the Aceh Forest are happy. They live in peace. They sing their songs without fear. The forest is a paradise for them. Every morning, the Parakeet King holds court in a clearing in the forest. The birds come from far and wide to see him. They bring him gifts of fruit and flowers. They sing him their sweetest songs. The Parakeet King listens to all the birds with patience. He offers them advice and guidance. He is a true leader, and the birds are lucky to have him. One day, a hunter entered the Aceh Forest. He was a greedy man. He wanted to capture the birds and sell them for a profit. He set up traps in the trees, using sticky glue to catch the birds. The hunter's traps were very effective. Many birds were caught. They struggled to free themselves, but the glue was too strong. The birds cried out in fear and despair. The other birds saw what was happening. They were terrified. They knew that they had to do something to stop the hunter, but they were afraid to go near the traps. The birds flew to the Parakeet King. They told him about the hunter and his traps. They begged him to help them. The Parakeet King listened carefully to the bird's story. He knew that he had to act quickly to save his people. He thought long and hard about what to do. Finally, he came up with a plan. The Parakeet King gathered all the birds together. He told them his plan. He would pretend to be dead and allow the hunter to catch him. Then, when the hunter was not looking, he would escape and free the other birds. The birds were afraid for their king. They tried to persuade him not to go through with the plan. But the Parakeet King was determined to save his people, even if it meant risking his own life. The Parakeet King flew down to the forest floor. He lay down on his back beneath one of the hunter's traps. He closed his eyes and pretended to be dead. The hunter was delighted when he saw the Parakeet King caught in his trap. He had never seen such a beautiful bird before. He knew that he could sell him for a fortune. The hunter carefully approached the Parakeet King. He reached down to pick him up. But as he did so, he tripped and fell. The Parakeet King saw his chance. He quickly sprang to his feet and flew up into the trees. But the hunter had grabbed hold of his tail feathers. The Parakeet King was unable to break free. The hunter was furious. He had lost his prize catch. He shook his fist at the Parakeet King and swore to get even. The hunter took the Parakeet King back to his village. He decided to give the bird to the Sultan as a gift. He knew that the Sultan would reward him handsomely. The Sultan was amazed by the Parakeet King's beauty. He had never seen such a magnificent bird before. He ordered his servants to put the Parakeet King in a golden cage and to give him the finest food and water. The Parakeet King was unhappy in captivity. He longed to be free. He missed the forest and his people, but he knew that he could not escape. So he decided to make the best of his situation. The Parakeet King began to sing. He sang beautiful songs about the forest and the birds. The Sultan and his court were enchanted by his voice. They had never heard such beautiful singing before. The Parakeet King became famous throughout the land for his singing. People came from far and wide to hear him. The Sultan showered him with gifts and attention. But the Parakeet King was not happy. He was still a prisoner. The Parakeet King's cage was made of gold. It was decorated with precious jewels. He had plenty of food and water. He had everything a bird could ever want, but he was not free. The Parakeet King longed to fly again. He missed the feeling of the wind beneath his wings. He missed the sun on his feathers. He missed the company of his own kind. The Parakeet King knew that he had to escape, but he also knew that it would be very difficult. The Sultan's palace was heavily guarded. One day, the Parakeet King overheard the Sultan talking to his advisors. The Sultan was planning to go on a journey to a distant land. He would be gone for many months. The Parakeet King knew that this was his chance to escape. He had to act quickly. He came up with a daring plan. The Parakeet King decided to use the same trick that had worked before. He would pretend to be dead. Then, when the servants came to clean his cage, he would make his escape. The Parakeet King lay down on his back in his cage. He closed his eyes and pretended to be dead. He did not move a muscle. The servants were shocked when they found the Parakeet King lying motionless in his cage. They thought he was dead. They sadly took him out of his cage and carried him outside. They were going to bury him in the palace gardens. As soon as the servants were out of sight, the Parakeet King sprang to his feet. He flew up into the air and soared away. The servants were amazed. They had never seen a dead bird fly before. The Parakeet King flew back to the Aceh Forest. He was so happy to be home. He was reunited with his people. They were overjoyed to see him. They had missed him very much. The Parakeet King ruled wisely and kindly ever after. He never forgot his time in captivity. He taught his people to value their freedom, and he warned them to be wary of humans. The birds of the Aceh Forest were free and happy once more.